And welcome everyone to another edition of Shotgun Saturday Afternoon here on FTWLive.com. My name is Garvin, and what you are about to hear is a clip from this week's episode, episode 8 of Shotgun Saturday Afternoon. To hear the full version of the show, including all the music that we played, you can get that exclusively on our Mixlr channel, mixlr.com/FTW Podcast, or you can find that link and player on FTWpodcast.com. For this edition of the show, you're just going to hear the conversations, and in this conversation, I was joined by Mike from PWTorch.com to talk about this year's Wrestlemania, the 4 big matches that are already booked, as well as all of the rumors and speculated matches that will be added for the mid-card. So stay tuned. Definitely check out FTWpodcast.com to get the full edition of the show. Otherwise, enjoy us talking. It's time to talk some WrestleMania. That's why we're all here. So with us today is Mike from PWTorch.com. Say hello, Mike.
Hey, Garvin. How you doing?
Good. And, we've got SmackDown fresh on our mind. You are the beat reporter for PW Torch. I wrote the recap for FTWpodcast.com. So, a lot of stuff went down that sort of kind of maybe builds up WrestleMania for the mid-card. So, we're going to start this conversation just by talking about the mid-card matches, basically everything below the top 4, the top 4 matches. And then we'll talk about the top 4 matches in the second half of the show. So right now, let's start off with basically the matches that might happen, might not happen, everything that's being rumored. So and then just try and decipher what is the better possibility. So we'll start off with Shield versus Sheamus and Orton. They are to choose basically a partner. On SmackDown, Big Show offered them his services, but they rejected it. They went with Ryback instead. So for the last couple of weeks, we've been thinking maybe it's going to be Ryback versus Mark Henry, but that doesn't seem like it's the case now, or does it? What do you see, Mike, with this?
I think maybe somewhere down the line they'll do a Ryback versus Big Show match to see who gets the right to face the Shield. I mean, both guys definitely have beef with the Shield. You know, they definitely have a reason to be in that match. But, you know, Ryback also, you know, he's got a beef going with Mark Henry. I mean, last night on SmackDown, you saw after Ryback took that triple powerbomb from the Shield, Mark Henry came in, gave him the world's strongest slam 3 times. And, you know, the last, you know, week or two, they've had that, game of one-upsmanship where, you know, whatever you can do, I can do better. So, I mean, you know, those two, you know, they have something going for WrestleMania, but, you know, I think the bigger, the bigger feud is, you know, Ryback and the Shield. You know, that's how I think everybody has been looking at WrestleMania, thinking that Ryback and, you know, he'll find a partner to take on the Shield. I think it's weird that they went in a different direction. You know, now they brought Big Show into it. You know, will he be turning face to join Sheamus and Orton? You know, or will they go with Ryback and leave, you know, Big Show kind of like you know, the jilted lover, and, you know, maybe have him, you know, try to sabotage them going against Shield. I don't know. It's
well, sure, but this is just like another rematch basically. So we're going to see Shield versus Sheamus and Ryback, and all they're doing is replacing John Cena with Randy Orton. That seems kind of odd. It would almost be better if we saw, you know, someone else get involved here. Like a Big Show, I think is sort of proving to be a bigger threat, despite them, you know, taking him out like the Shield have taken out everyone. But yeah, like from the live chat, they're almost with the opinion that they'd rather see Big Show in there just to throw something else in there, you know, instead of just seeing the same match that we basically saw the last pay-per-view. Show us something different.
Yeah, I think Big Show would be something. I would rather put Big Show in there than Sheamus. You know, to me, it's been, you know, Shield has been targeting Ryback ever since they came in there, and Ryback has not gotten that win on the Shield. You know, he hasn't gotten his revenge on him. Every single time that something happens, Shield ends up getting the better of Ryback. And to me, it just seemed like, you know, WrestleMania, that's where he gets his revenge. That's where he finally puts the Shield down. but now it's starting to look like Shield just beat Ryback and they move on, and Ryback's going towards Mark Henry.
Well, and just look at what we do know so far, and that is Ryback has another option. Ryback can go up against Mark Henry. That seems to be something else that they're teasing, but they really haven't done anything else with Big Show yet. So if Big Show wasn't involved in this match, is there anything for him? Do you see any type of match that would make sense?
Not really, outside of him being just thrown into some random match, and no, I really don't see any other alternative for him.
Well, if Ryback is involved in the Shield match, what about a Mark Henry versus Big Show?
We saw a lot of that back in, what was that, 2011, when they were feuding. And I don't know, I really don't want to see a heel Big Show versus a heel Mark Henry. We just saw recently, I talked about when TNA had their pay-per-view over the weekend, doing those face versus face matches with Bully Ray and Jeff Hardy. Those are hard to pull off. What's even harder to pull off is a heel versus heel match. It's really hard to get the crowd invested in that. And, I don't see them going in that direction at all.
All right, well, let's jump to another match, which, again, we don't know what's necessarily going on. Team Hell No, we were hoping that there would be some kind of, maybe tag team title match. Maybe they'd finally take the tag titles off of them. But again, they're not really building up any other team. You want to look at Rhodes Scholars or PTP, or anyone really, and they all are picking up losses. So, but something happened on SmackDown, which was an extension of what we saw on Raw. Dolph Ziggler has a win now this week over both Daniel Bryan and Kane. What about the possibility of Dolph and Langston partnering up to take on Team Hell No?
Yeah, that's a very smart match, and they have been. It will make sense for them to do that, and it'd be nice to finally see Langston debut in the ring. He's been following Dolph to the ring since December, right after TLC. So it's about time that he gets in there and competes. With Hell No, I am surprised that they are still together. I thought for sure they'd be having a match against each other at WrestleMania. It's very surprising that they still have the titles, and that looks like they'll be defending against Dolph and Langston. I mean, they definitely are the number one, should be the number one. Dolph and whoever he picks should be a number one contender against them. For a while, it looked like it might be Rey and Sin Cara, but injuries and all that took them out of the equation.
Sure.
I think that will definitely happen. Dolph and Big E Langston against Team Hell No. Watching SmackDown on Friday made me think Langston has the lamest finisher I have ever seen in my life.
It's like a reverse finisher.
Yeah, it from a visual standpoint, it does. Unless he picks up a big guy like Big Show or Mark Henry or something, like it doesn't look that impressive, and doesn't look like it hurts. And it's just terrible. They need to give him something else to do.
Well,
use his strength in another way.
Him lifting up Kane was kind of impressive, but yeah, it totally looks like he's taking the move rather than giving the move. So yeah, I'm totally with you. But what about the idea of maybe putting the tag team titles on Dolph and Langston? Do you think that's a possibility?
Yeah, I think that's a very good possibility.
And how would that work with?
We say that every month with Hell No losing the titles, and boy, are we surprised every month though.
Yeah, but how would that work with the cash-in? Because we all are kind of expecting the cash-in to happen at WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's something that they kind of dropped over the last few weeks, but Michael Cole brought it up on SmackDown last night that Dolph guaranteed he will walk into WrestleMania as champion. It could just be, a heel lying again. That's what heels do.
Sure.
I don't know. The more I think about it, it doesn't feel right anymore with him cashing in at WrestleMania, with him just kind of being him and Langston versus Hell No. They're working with what they can. On one hand, it doesn't feel like a right match, but on the other hand, it kind of does. It seems like they're changing their minds again on Dolph and what they want to do with him.
Yeah, and technically, I mean, I think we were all under the impression that he had to cash it in before WrestleMania, But really, I think he has until Money in the Bank.
Cole said he has till July.
Yeah, so unfortunately, that just means that they're probably considering just extending it the full year, which is kind of disappointing, especially with a guy like Dolph. But yeah, I also see this match happening, and it would make total sense, just the way that they have built up this week, and it would definitely be a match that I would look forward to.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
all right, let's jump over to the Divas. Caitlyn versus Tamina, another rematch. Do you see that as being the Divas title match, or do you expect them to make it into, something else?
Actually, I think they're going to go with Caitlyn and Layla. They've been planting those seeds where, they're supposed to be now BFF on screen, and, Layla's taking Caitlyn under her wing, but Layla, on SmackDown stole the win from Caitlyn during their tag match against Oksana and Tamina. The week before, Layla accidentally cost Caitlyn a win against, I think she faced Tamina last week, I want to say, or on Raw or something. So, I mean, they could pull a trigger, have Layla turn heel again, and I think she's made a horrible face. I think she's way better as a heel, and go with those two facing each other at WrestleMania.
So if that takes place, what do you do with Tamina? Anything?
Nothing. Probably not much with her. Yeah. The other possibility they could do a six diva or an 8 diva tag match. They had that little bit on SmackDown with the Bellas and the Funkadactyls having that little brawl.
Yeah.
They could put, Caitlyn, Layla, and the Funkadactyls against Tamina, Oksana, and the Bella Twins. Get more people on the show.
Yeah, that's definitely a consideration. I was thinking something similar, but I would rather them split that up. Have Caitlyn versus Layla or Caitlyn versus Tamina as a title match, and then as a filler match, or maybe even part of the YouTube pre-show, which I think that they were going to go an hour with it.
Yeah, that's the rumor. And I just had a thought that they could even do the Funkadactyls, Brodus and Tensai against Rhodes Scholar and the Bella Twins.
Yeah, that's definitely also a good possibility, because right now Rhodes Scholars, Tensai, and Brodus, they aren't booked. Let's quickly run down the rest of the mid card before we go to another music break. Cesaro versus Miz. Do you think that they're still building that up, or are they moving Miz on to face Wade Barrett?
I think they might be moving the Miz on to Wade Barrett. They had their stare down again last Wednesday on Main Event. What are they doing on Monday? They're doing Barrett versus Miz versus Jericho, I think.
Right.
A triple threat IC title match. Maybe they could extend that to WrestleMania, have some kind of non-finish on Monday, and then just book a proper match for WrestleMania triple threat. Who knows? It's sad that I don't think Cesaro is going to have a proper WrestleMania match, which, he deserves it. He's had a good year. He's been U.S. champion since SummerSlam?
Thereabouts. It's been a while, yeah.
Yeah. I don't think they're building much for Cesaro.
Yeah, I mean, it seemed like they were building up Cesaro versus Miz, but then they hit us with it like every single week. So, it quickly lost its importance. But yeah, the idea of Barrett versus Miz versus Jericho, that's cool. And that would be a really good match, as well. Jericho, if he's not in that match, he's not booked. Yeah, once again, Rhodes Scholars aren't booked. What about Bo Dallas? What happened to him?
I think they just forgot about him. I think he's short, and he's been standing in the back, and they just didn't see him back there, and they went, oh, look, there's the Miz. He's not doing anything. Let's throw him with Barrett instead.
And
I really have no good explanation as why they dropped that whole Bo Dallas Barrett feud. It was starting to get interesting, and then it's been 3 or 4 weeks since they've done anything with it.
Yeah, and we really haven't seen Bo on TV since that all went down. Since he basically attacked Wade Barrett. So
yeah, I posed that question on Twitter. Whatever happened to Bo Dallas? Someone pointed out that he was at the Mae Young birthday party, standing off to the side.
That's right.
But yeah.
All right. Well, the final mid card match, the name that everyone wants to see at WrestleMania, What about Zack Ryder versus Cesaro? Do you think that's a possibility?
No, I think Zach is too far down on the totem pole. I don't think he has that niche fan base on Twitter and on the internet, but on TV he's a jobber now. I don't see them doing anything with him. He has no storylines going. He's barely on TV. I don't see them throwing him in anything other than the dreaded 10 or 12 man tag match to get as many names as possible on Mania. Maybe they'll do a battle royal. He'll be in there, but I don't see him having any kind of significant role in WrestleMania.
Which is sad. Which is really sad. But he's definitely pushing hard. He's pushing hard on Twitter and Facebook. So he's still in the front of the minds of the IWC, but yeah, unfortunately he's not making much headway in WWE. But that's the mid card, and right now we are going to talk about the main matches of WrestleMania. The previous half hour we were going over basically the mid card, the low card matches, everything that's being rumored right now. So here's what's booked that we know for sure is booked. We have Swagger versus Del Rio for the World Championship, Brock Lesnar versus Triple H, Punk versus The Undertaker, and Rock versus Cena for the WWE title. So let's start off with the world title. Swagger versus Del Rio. This is obviously going to be the show opener. Do you agree?
Yeah, definitely agree.
Yeah, if we just go by history, they normally push the world title in that first hour, and like we saw last year, it opened. So this is definitely the opener, but my only fear with it is there's it doesn't really have any type of heat behind it. It started to, then this whole Glenn Beck situation happened, and then after that, since that never followed through, it seems kind of forced and unmotivated. What do you think, Mike?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I agree. Ever since I think it's more of Swagger's DUI incident. They've been feeding guys to Swagger. They've been keeping him strong, and I think they're just doing that to have Del Rio go over him at WrestleMania. But before that DUI, I thought for sure Swagger's going to take the title. But the more I think about it, I think now they switch gears and Del Rio is just going to end up retaining.
Yeah, that's definitely seems to be the case. And especially if they, have Dolph cash in, which is always the possibility. I think a cash in over a strong Del Rio, would make a bigger impact than a cash in, over a strong Swagger. Just because, heel versus face versus, heel and heel. So, but yeah, I have lost all, emotion towards this match. I really loved the way Swagger came in, and I loved all the segments they did up until Miz TV. And then it's died for me because Del Rio is awful on the mic, generally speaking. And, there's really no back and forth. It's Zeb Coulter says his piece, then Del Rio makes a joke and everyone laughs, and then the segment's over. That's basically how every single segment has been between the two.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, Swagger and Coulter, when they came in, I thought it was real edgy stuff that they were doing, and then now they're just repeating what they originally said. There's nothing new that they're coming out with. It's just repeat, and then Del Rio and Rodriguez, they come out, and they do those awful parodies. Oh my God, those are terrible. I just cringe when they come on. It's, oh my God, I just can't even put into words how much I hate those parodies.
Well, for me, the first one was funny, at least halfway through. But then after that, and the second one, it was just overkill. I think this would definitely be different and more enjoyable if Ricardo was the main voice for Del Rio. If Ricardo was on the mic all the time and he was going after Zeb Coulter on the mic all the time, I think they would put on a better situation than Zeb Coulter and then Del Rio's lame cheesy jokes.
Yeah, I think Del Rio's fine on the mic when he's just cutting a generic promo, not when he's talking about Swagger. I think more when he's doing the, I'm for the people, and more just like a people's kind of champion to kind of use that phrase. But yeah, when he's going out, when he's doing his lame jokes against Swagger, I could do without that.
Yeah. Let's move on to that. Let's move on to something that that at least I have interest in, and that is Brock versus Triple H. Yes, it's a rematch, but this one is a little bit different because we don't know what the stipulation is. Now let's talk about the rumors, like what people are saying on the wrestling news sites, Wrestling News Source, The Zone, etc. What people are talking about on Twitter and Facebook of what this possibly could be. The first one is Hell in a Cell. What's your thoughts on the possibility that this might be a Hell in a Cell match?
I don't think they'll do a cell match 2 years in a row. It seemed to work last year with Hunter and Undertaker. It was a, throwback to, the glory days that they like referencing. I don't think there's any need for Brock and Triple H to do a Hell in a Cell. I think we can rule that one out.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I would love to rule that one out as well. I hope they don't do it. Just because I don't know. The Hell in a Cell has lost its edge. It doesn't feel as important anymore. Outside of the Triple H versus Undertaker match from last year's WrestleMania, that's the last time that Hell in a Cell really felt important. The next match that's being talked about is a Lion's Den match. That's something we haven't seen since...
No, it's not. I started that rumor. I was just kidding about that one.
You might have...
I can't believe it's making its rounds.
You might have started that rumor, but yeah, it is making its rounds, and that is something that we actually talked about on FTW 155, is the idea of maybe an MMA style match, just because that's Brock's background right now. So, but okay,
yeah,
so you're completely against it.
Yeah, I don't think he'll be a Lions Den match, but I think there's a possibility that he will challenge him to an MMA match. I think that's a very strong possibility. But I don't think it'll be in the Lions Den, and I don't think that they'll circle the cars in the parking lot like they used to do with Ken Shamrock.
So, but you think an MMA style match in the ring is a definite possibility?
Yeah, I think that's a very good possibility. I could see Vince being petty enough to having them do an MMA match and then have Triple H beat him and go, oh, our wrestlers are better than MMA guys, and our, what they do, our guys can do too, or, something ridiculous like that.
Yeah, that would be awful, if that was the case, if that's the direction they went to. But let's move on to another match that's being rumored. And that is the 3 Stages of Hell, a 2 out of 3 falls matches where they basically will have a different stipulation every single fall. Let me just start this off with, I don't think this would happen because we haven't seen Brock Lesnar go through this type of match for years. So he hasn't gone through the paces as much as you would need to go through to compete in a 2 out of 3 falls matches. But the idea is kind of neat, whether it's like a tables match or, a chairs match
yeah,
or
what
anything.
Was the, yeah. Just, yeah, they did, that 3 Stages of Hell with, Hunter and Michaels a few years ago. I forget what the 3 stages were. I know one of them was a cage match. I think it was like a cage match, a TLC match, and I forget what the 3rd stage was. It might have been just a straight wrestling match. But yeah, that would be interesting to see. I think that would be cool. Maybe they would want to save that though for the next month with Extreme Rules coming up. But I mean, that'd be interesting. I'd be interested in seeing that, but I don't think they'll go in that direction either.
Yeah, I'm looking at WWE.com right now about what that match was, but they're not really giving the details for some reason on this landing page. But yeah, to me this seems way more than what this match should be. And my thought is that it's not going to be a match stipulation per se. It's actually going to be, a match type, but more of like what happens to the loser, what happens to the winner. So, in this case, my thought is, what about if Brock wins, Heyman becomes the Raw GM?
Yeah, that would definitely make sense. I could see them. I agree with you there. They could do something where it's not a match type, but if a Brock win. maybe not a GM, but to take over Triple H's role. Brock wins, Heyman becomes the COO and becomes Vince McMahon's boss, or something like that. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean that's a bit outside of the ring. I mean, I think to me it would make more sense to unless they brought that role on TV more often, then yeah, sure. But it almost seems like a Raw GM role would be the better situation for a Paul Heyman, just because he's so great on the mic and he always gets the reaction that you want. So.
Oh yeah, he's so good on the microphone. Would it be funny if they did do the Heyman becomes the COO or the chairman or something if he wins, and Brock does win, and then WWE stock just plummets because Wall Street takes it literally.
And they've done that before. They've taken everything literally. So, yeah, I that would be hilarious. All right, let's move on. Punk versus Undertaker. This is a match that I don't even think Punk was looking forward to. If you watched the segment on Raw, he didn't have that same vibe, that same emotion attached to his words that he normally has when he was basically calling out the Undertaker. So I don't know. Do you have any interest in this match and what they might do with it?
Oh, I definitely have interest in this match. I think Undertaker comes in every year and people say, oh, he's too broken down to really put on a match, and I've said that too. But every year he surprises me, and to me this is just a match to just sit back and enjoy. 99.9% sure that Undertaker is going to go over. To me, this is a match that you just sit back and you just enjoy the ride. Take it for what it is. I think it'll be a good match. I'm really looking forward to it. I don't think that Punk. I think Punk is looking forward to this match. I think it's an honor for guys to be put in that slot against the Undertaker. I mean, it is the second. I think it's the second biggest match on the card. Anytime Undertaker's on WrestleMania, it's billed right under that world title match. So yeah, I mean, I think let's give it another week or so. See how Punk does on the mic. What else they do for the build up. I think they're putting a bad spot with Paul Bearer passing away last week. They had to put that, they had to acknowledge it on TV, and I think they made the most of it by incorporating it into the storyline. And I'm like I said, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too. I mean, outside of the idea that Punk said a couple years ago that he had no interest in being in that type of match. It does feel like there still is a good vibe with it. That now there's, lots of talk, especially if you go to ftwpodcast.com. I wrote a blog post about how the Undertaker needs to end the streak. This year makes the most sense out of any other time. So there's lots of conversations now on whether or not Punk will end the streak. And, obviously we're going to keep talking about that for the next 20 days, however many days we have until WrestleMania. But the final match, most likely the main event. I can't see anything going over this, and this is Rock versus Cena 2. But I gotta tell you, it's not feeling as important as last year. Do you get the same vibe?
Yeah, they're going for a different build up from last year. Last year they were just going at each other's throats, trying to, one up each other on the mic. This year, they're trying to make it seem like Cena's loss to The Rock last year has cost him everything. If you're to look at those video packages, you would think that Cena hasn't won a match since WrestleMania or in the last year. They're even implying that Cena got divorced because of his loss to The Rock, which is just it's so ridiculous, so over the top. I mean, I understand what they're trying to do, but to me, that's just silly. I think it would have been a better build-up if Cena did lose the majority of his matches in last year. If they had talking points of him losing to Lesnar and him losing multiple matches to Punk and not winning Money in the Bank and all this and that. But, Cena's had a really good year. I don't think that his loss to The Rock, they didn't build it like he was preoccupied with that loss. And always thinking about it. It's a definitely a different build up this year.
Well,
not as interesting as last year.
Yeah, and Cena, I mean, although he did pick up some good wins, he's only he's 5-1 since January. So this last couple of months, he's been great. But if you look at just pay-per-view matches, he hasn't won a lot. So, I mean, on one hand, yeah, they are definitely over-exaggerating. But if you look at last year was a year that, we didn't really see a lot of productive things from Cena. So, but yeah, the build up to this is by far nowhere near the level of what they did last year. And I wouldn't say it's not as important, but it's definitely not as important as in, hey, let's drop like millions of dollars on production of all these videos like they did last year. This year they're not doing that. Mm-hmm. We've gotten the same video or two videos the last 3 or 4 weeks about it. So yeah, I don't know. It's definitely important. It's definitely the main event, but I think that's just a sign of how they've built WrestleMania so far, where it doesn't have the same feel that it normally does.
Yeah, I wonder if it seems like every year they're getting more in the mindset of WrestleMania just sells itself, and to an extent they're right, but you still need to build the matches, you still need to give them that match that you need to see and give them a reason to see it.
Yeah,
and Rock Cena doesn't have that feel like it did last year. Last year was, oh my God, it's The Rock is finally coming back, and he's gonna shut that scene. Cena's been talking trash about him. He's gonna shut him up, and then the Cena fans are, oh, he's better than The Rock, and The Rock should sell out. Cena needs to put him in his place. There's nothing like that this year. And you know what? They're probably gonna face each other again next year.
Hey,
and who knows if it'll be worse than this year, or God only knows what'll happen in the next 365 days.
Just quick prediction: it's going to have to be better. It's also WrestleMania 30, so yeah, there's going to be a lot of build up for it, just because it's the 30th year. So, anyways, that's it. That's the show. We are going to be talking about WrestleMania more in depth, including our predictions on April 6th, Saturday, April 6th at 1:30 p.m. here on FTWLive.com. So join us for that. We'll definitely have the full card by then, hopefully. I can't see them waiting the last minute to book any matches for it, but you never know. But anyways, that's Saturday, April 6th at 1:30 p.m. here on FTWLive.com. Why not check out FTWPodcast.com for more information about us and how to get involved in the future? On our new and improved website, we've posted links to our iTunes page so that you can rate us higher than any podcast. Also, definitely check out the results and recaps and reactions to all WWE and TNA programming. Nick Alexander has been writing awesomely for all the Impact Lives. We've been doing a Raw live blog as well, which has been getting great reaction so far, so glad that everyone's liking it. If you haven't read it yet, definitely check that out. We'll be doing it again this Monday. And thank you everyone in the live chat. You can join us each and every Tuesday at FTW Podcast at 8 p.m. Eastern Time at FTWLive.com. This has been Shotgun Saturday Afternoon. Mike, thank you for joining us. And where can everyone find you?
Thanks for having me. You can go over to follow me on Twitter at MJCupach. That's MJCupach. I'm over at PWTorch.com, where I review Main Event every Wednesday. Look for my report there. Also, I blog on SmackDown every week. Usually my report's posted Sunday morning, so you could read my thoughts on SmackDown over there, PWTorch.com.
And thank you everyone for joining, and we'll see you next week here on FTWLive.com.